International. You are listening to our 1-hour broadcast in English for listeners in North America, the East Coast. We can also be heard on the internet in WMA, MP3 and AAC Plus formats at www.rri.ro Channel 1. We wish you good reception conditions. This is Bucharest Radio Romania International.
Welcome to this broadcast from Radio Romania International.
Hello, I'm your host today, Daniel Biltz, bringing you first the news, followed by a report about Radio Romania's 85th birthday and a new food scandal involving Romania. And now, stay tuned for the news with Mihaela Ignatescu.
The headlines. Radio Romania celebrates 85 years of existence. The Romanian state earned $500 million from the Romgaz IPO, and sanitary authorities in Bucharest are checking allegations of horse meat presence in beef products. On November the 1st, Radio Romania celebrates 85 years of broadcasting, with 3 national and 9 regional stations, as well as an international channel with 10 languages. Radio Romania stands as a mainstay of public radio worldwide. In a special message, the Romanian Prime Minister Victor Ponta said that Radio Romania is the most credible source of news and information with the widest audience countrywide. Constantin Mitsu, Minister Delegate for Energy, said that putting 15% of Romgaz shares on the stock market as an IPO was a success. The price per share was $9.25 for a total of 534 million. The shares were on sale on the Bucharest and the London stock exchanges between October the 22nd and 31st. The London listing was a national first. Romgaz runs half of the gas extraction operations in the country and is the biggest distributor of natural gas in Romania. Health authorities in Romania are still running checks at the company making beef products after the UK alleged it found horse meat in them. The head of the National Sanitary Authority, Vladimir Mănăstireanu, warned of dire repercussions if the allegations prove to be true. Between the 2nd and the 5th of November, the Romanian Environment Minister Rovana Plumb will pay a visit to Israel, where she will meet her Israeli counterpart Amir Peretz. The talks will focus on topics such as the management of emergency situations, water management, pollution control and impact assessment. Also, Rovana Plumb will participate in the International Conference of Leader Women, focusing on gender equality and women's promotion in the next framework, an event organized under the aegis of the UN. The Republic of Moldova, the ex-Soviet country with a predominantly Romanian-speaking population, has designated Romania as mentor in a project concerning the protection of refugees, says a communiqué issued by the Bucharest-based General Inspectorate for Immigration. The EU-funded project, co-funded and implemented by the UN High Commissariat for Refugees, is spanning 2 years, and it focuses on improving asylum and protection granting procedures in 6 countries: Armenia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Georgia, Moldova and Ukraine. A delegation of the Office for Migration and Asylum in the Republic of Moldova came to Bucharest these days in an attempt to strengthen cooperation between the authorities of the 2 countries. Love Building, a feature film directed by Romanian Iulia Rugina, won the Best Director Award at the International Film Festival in Tirana, Albania, held between October the 23rd and 31st. The film, whose photography is signed by Marius Jacob, is a dramatic comedy set in a camp meant to rebuild broken relationships. Love Building is a feature film signed by Iulia Rugina, age 31, which got the Audience Award and Jury Special Mention at the Best 2013 Festival in Bucharest. And now news from sports. On Saturday, Romanian Simona Halep, aged 22, will be playing in the semis of the lawn tennis tournament in Sofia, with $750,000 in prize money. In the first matches, the Romanian has outperformed Alize Cornet from France, Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova from Russia, and Elina Svitolina from Ukraine. Halep is currently ranking 14th in the world standings and has won 5 WTA tournaments in 2013. In another development, the pair made up of Romanian tennis player Horia Pecou and Russian Max Mirny on Friday qualified for the semis of the double contest of the ATP World Tour Masters 1000 in Paris-Bercy, France, with 2.6 million euros in prizes. The Romanian-Belarusian pair have outperformed 6-3, 6-4 Marcel Granollers and Marc Lopez from Spain. And that was the news from Bucharest, Radio Romania International.
Radio Newsreel continues on Radio Romania International. Set up in 1928, Radio Romania celebrates 85 years since the first show was aired. Since then, Radio Romania has permanently adapted to the challenges of a changing world. Eugen Nasta has joined me in the studio with more on the issue.
Radio Romania, one of the oldest institutions of its kind in Europe, celebrates 85 years since its first broadcast. The president and CEO of the Romanian Broadcasting Corporation, Ovidiu Miculescu, says Radio Romania has been an honest witness to crucial events in the country's history. Ovidiu Miculescu. Radio Romania has been an element of balance and stability and has been a part of Romania's history over the past 85 years. The founding document of the public radio was signed by King Ferdinand, so it was born under the sign of royalty. It went through difficult times, the war and the communist period. Things have been simple, but the institution didn't lose its principles and remained committed to its public mission. Radio Romania currently broadcasts on 3 national channels: Radio Romania's News and Current Affairs, Radio Romania Culture and the Village Antenna, as well as on 9 regional channels. Another channel is devoted to classical music, whereas shows for children and youth are available online. The public radio's offer is completed by the Rador News Agency, Casa Radio Publishers, the Radio House Publishers, the Gaudeamus Book Fairs and the Radio Music Orchestras and ensembles. The depository of a tape library bringing together recordings of prominent Romanian and international personalities, Radio Romania promotes perennial values, also by means of Radio Romania International, the world service of Radio Romania, which is described by CEO Ovidiu Miculescu as follows. Radio Romania International is, if you will, an extremely important bridge for Romanians from around the world. Apart from Romanian, it airs programs in 10 foreign languages. Radio Romania International is an ambassador that communicates what happens here, either good or wrong. We don't beautify reality, but at the same time we choose to promote values, which I believe is one of the fundamental elements of the journalist profession. Overcoming turning points in history and troubled times of economic crisis, adjusting to technological and social challenges, Radio Romania seems to be a young national broadcaster despite of its 85 years of existence. In an increasingly complicated media context, professionals believe that the future of Radio Romania sounds good.
Radio Newsreel continues on Radio Romania International. A fresh case of horse meat products marketed as beef raises new questions on the integrity of Romanian producers and on food safety in Europe. I am Daniel Bilz at the microphone, bringing you a report by Bogdan Matei. Just months after the Europe-wide horse meat lasagna scandal, a new fraud raises questions on the continent's food industry. Two British foodstuff suppliers withdrew a lot of canned beef produced in Romania, which contain horse meat not identified as such on the product label, Radio Romania's correspondent in London reports. In Bucharest, the head of the National Food Safety and Animal Health Agency, Vladimir Mănăstireanu, says the problem has to do with the product price alone, given that horse meat is both healthier and less expensive than beef. He announced the producer has been identified and promised harsh measures. The business operators may receive drastic fines of up to 12,000 euros, and if veterinary physicians or other personnel are found guilty of fraud, they may be sentenced to time in prison. The president of the Romanian Meat Association Sorin Mina says in all previous cases, Romanian producers proved they were not the source of the mislabeled horse meat and explains. Every lot that comes out of a slaughtering unit carries a stamp that guarantees it has been checked. If anyone forges that stamp attempting to commit fraud, they will have a problem. This summer, in the wake of the so-called lasagna scandal, large-scale inspections were conducted across the EU, revealing outrageous fraud cases in a field where consumers' health and well-being is at stake.
This is Bucharest, Radio Romania International. Next in our program, we invite you to listen to an interview with the CEO of Radio Slovakia, Mr. Václav Mika, one of the guests of the celebrations occasioned by the 85th anniversary of Radio Romania. I am Diana Văjeu, and I invite you to listen to a talk I had with Mr. Mika shortly after he signed a cooperation protocol on behalf of the institution he runs with Radio Romania. Mr. Václav Mika, thank you for honoring the invitation of Radio Romania extended to you by CEO and President Mr. Ovidiu Niculescu to celebrate here in Bucharest 85 years of radio broadcasting in Romania. Years have elapsed since the first broadcast was aired on November the 1st, 1928, and we are now in the 21st century. In the current media landscape, and why not in a globalized world, when people even speak of a shifting national identity, what is the role of national public radios, in your opinion?
Thank you. First, I very appreciate it to be here and to be part of this nice celebration. I think it's a very, very big topic that I have to, in limited period, express the role of public media. I think it's about the public value. And I can say in the radio broadcasting, currently, we produce on the market 85% of the genres which are unique on the market. That means I think everything's about the content, the radio content, which is unique, and the private radio station, they are focused on the price-performance balance of programming and content, and the public service is about the quality, originality, and unique content.
Radio Romania and Radio Slovakia struck a partnership precisely 7 years ago, and you have just signed a new agreement, a protocol with Radio Romania. Beyond data and the figures, how would you describe the cooperation between Radio Slovakia and Radio Romania?
Programming exchanges, which is traditional, and I think we have more and more content to exchange. Second is mutual programming and mutual production. And third field of the cooperation is the cooperation of the Slovak broadcasting in Timisoara, which I very appreciate that we have a Slovak direction in Timisoara. We can cooperate it. And also we have mutual support of the broadcasting in our languages.
Would you like to convey a message to Radio Romania's listeners and who are not members of the staff?
That I'm keeping fingers crossed for the public mission and wish you all the best. And 85 years, that history is history. Thank you very much.
You have been listening to an interview with the CEO of Radio Slovakia, Mr. Václav Mika, one of the guests of the celebrations occasioned by the 85th anniversary of Radio Romania.
You are listening to Radio Romania International.
Coming up next on Radio Romania International, we bring you a special feature devoted to the 85th anniversary of Radio Romania. At the microphone, Lăcrămioara Simion and Eugen Nasta. The Romanian Radio Broadcasting Corporation aired its first signal on November 1st, 1928, which makes it one of the few institutions in Romania to boast such uninterrupted activity. A mode of mass communication and information between 1929 and 1938, the most democratic decade in the country's recent history, public radio was used between 1938 and 1989 as a tool of propaganda for the authoritarian and totalitarian regimes, first the fascist and soon after the communist regimes. The historian Eugen Denize is the author of the most comprehensive study on the history of the Romanian Radio Broadcasting Corporation. Upon the completion of his 4-volume study in 2004, he told us that his research lasted from 1996 until 2001.
Seeing the tremendous amount of documents in the corporation's archives, we realized the book had to be several volumes long, so as to be of the history of the institution, which is an important phenomenon in our contemporary society. Our research only goes up to 1989, because otherwise we could have risked departing from historical research and capturing instead snapshots of the corporation's present-day life. In short, the first volume covers the first 10 years from 1928 to 1938. In 1939, Romania saw the instatement of a totalitarian regime, which meant that public radio had to function in an altered environment. Until 1989, it was under extraordinary political pressure, but I think it managed to maintain its balance and fulfill its basic functions. The second volume deals with a period of right-wing dictatorships, namely the royal dictatorship of King Carol I, the Legionnaire dictatorship, and the dictatorship of Marshal Antonescu. This second volume ends on August the 23rd, 1944, when Romania joined the Allied forces. The third volume covers the communization of Romania and the leadership of Gheorghe Gheorghiu-Dej until his death in 1965. The last volume deals with the Nicolae Ceausescu's regime from 1965 to 1989, including the period of relaxation after 1964 and the again restrictive policies of 1971-1974. All 4 books are based exclusively on the documents and materials found in Radio Romania's print and sound archives and are thus an absolute novelty in the field of historiography studies.
Apart from information, the public radio has always fulfilled, ever since its early days, an educational and cultural role, not to mention entertainment. Eugen Denize explains.
From the very beginning, even before the creation of the Radio Broadcasting Corporation, the pioneers of radio broadcasting clearly established the functions of the radio, and these will remain the same to this day. First of all, we are talking about a very important cultural function. Radio broadcasting has contributed to the development of culture itself and has disseminated culture among its listeners. Then there is also a national function, in the sense that radio has played a major role in promoting and protecting national values. We should also mention the educational function. Specifically, many of its early programs focused on teaching and giving advice in fields as diverse as we can imagine, from animal husbandry to health and hygiene, from growing plants to educating children. A lot of shows target specific audiences: children, students, the military, peasants, and so on. The public radio has always had an educational mission, which it has successfully fulfilled in most cases. We all remember the famous programs aired under the heading The Radio University, which brought together leading names of Romanian culture: the historian Nicolae Iorga, sociologist Mihai Ralea, literary critic Tudor Vianu, writers Mihail Sadoveanu and Tudor Arghezi, and many others. Essentially, Romania's most prominent intellectuals spoke on the radio. Apart from these functions, the public radio also entertained people. Before the advent of television, radio was the main source of entertainment that people had available.
Eugen Denize was pessimistic as regards the future of Romanian radio broadcasting. History covering the period from 1989 to this day is harder to write because of the large volume of information and the elimination of censorship since 1989.
The 1989 anti-communist revolution brought about a major change for all Romanians, but perhaps even more so for radio broadcasting. Until 1989, radio broadcasting had been a state monopoly, even in the democratic period of 1928-1938. In 1989, this monopoly ended and frequencies started to be available for sale. Competition was thus born, and it became even tougher. This is a significant challenge for the public radio. I believe its journalists have the resources to cope with this challenge. Look at what happened in other European countries, like Italy and the UK, where the mission of public radio and television has not decreased, but on the contrary, it has strengthened. The main advantage for the public radio station in its competition with a larger number of private stations has to do precisely with its outstanding tradition.
Radio Romania has an 85-year-long tradition, and it is a media institution that has proven the quality of impartiality of its products. It is an essential asset for all democratic societies and one that Romania has regained in 1989. And now it's time for Hit of the Day on Radio Romania International. Soprano Angela Gheorghiu will be performing the song The Tree with the National Radio Orchestra conducted by Tiberius Soare.
This is Bucharest Radio Romania International. I am Daniel Bils with the latest from the passenger division of the Romanian Railway Corporation. The Romanian Railways Passenger Division announces greater discounts for early ticket purchases. A 25% discount applies for tickets bought 21 to 30 days ahead of the travel date. For train tickets bought 11 to 30 days before the travel date, an 18% discount rate is applied, while 10% discounts are granted for tickets bought 6 to 10 days earlier than the travel date. Bookings via the ticket purchase service available on the Railway Corporation website at www.cfrcălători.ro in English and Romanian benefit from an extra 5% discount. In order to encourage travelers to buy tickets online using the corporation site, the passenger division has announced that the online sales platform enables changes on tickets already bought using the function Change Travel Dates. The new function enables ticket holders to change the date and time of their journey, the train category, intercity, interregio and regio, the reservation class as well as the route, provided that the departure and arrival stations, number of passengers, a passenger category and their names remain the same as those included on the original ticket. The change of an already purchased ticket can only be done once, with extra payments made in keeping with the existing regulations. The deadline for online train ticket purchases is 24 hours before departure time, while the deadline for returning train tickets bought online is 12 hours before departure time. After the change has been operated and the extra charges have been paid, the initial ticket is no longer available. A new ticket will be issued for the traveller, who will receive it by mail in PDF format. The Romanian Railway Passenger Division also grants various other facilities. For small groups of 2 to 5 people, 10 to 25% discounts are offered Monday through Thursdays and on Saturdays, save for Fridays and Sundays. A discount rate of 25 to 60% is also offered for holders of Friday, Saturday, Sunday cards, the so-called VSD cards. The company also offers discounts ranging from 31 to 56% Friday through Sunday for interregio trains on the Sinaia-Brașov route. A round-trip fare for any route comes with a 10% discount. Discount rates of up to 50% are granted to pupils and students, while children up to 5 years of age travel for free.
International.
Time now for our traditional music series, Truly Romanian. I am Lăcrămioara Simeon. Today's edition is indeed very special because on November 1st, Radio Romania celebrates its 85th anniversary. And on this day, we'd like to bring you songs from Radio Romania's Golden Tape Library. For starters, you are invited to listen to a love song performed by Romanian traditional music legend Ioana Radu.
Uneori când gândul îmi zboară peste ani departe-n trecut, mă văd iar în parc într-o seară, ochii în ochi necunoscut. M-a privit și-a dat să tresară, mi-a zâmbit și-apoi a trecut. Lângă noi un castan, floarea jos cucura, și-n chioșc fanfara cânta. Barca pe valuri plutește ușor, inima-mi saltă plină de dor. De atunci în fiecare seară, tot prin parc sub cerul stelat, colindam zâmbindu-ne iară, până când pe-o bancă am stat. Nu știu cum a fost prima oară, știu atât că m-a sărutat. Doar zefirul tiptil pe ale trecea, și-n chioșc fanfara cânta. Barca pe valuri plutește ușor, inima-mi saltă plină de dor.
Interwar Romanian traditional music is well represented in Radio Romania's Golden Tape Library. Zavaidoc was a legendary vocalist, still viewed by some as Romania's best traditional music vocalist of all times. From his impressive repertoire, we have chosen Zavaidoc's song.
Vai de mine
special day like this, we are proud to say that Radio Romania's Golden Tape Library boasts an exquisite and very large collection of the country's best voices. One such voice is that of Maria Tănase. And coming up next in the program, here is a very popular song from Maria Tănase's repertoire. Grigoraș Dinic was born into a family of famous figures of the late 19th century Bucharest. Next up in the program, here is a famous song taken from fiddler Grigoraș Dinicu's impressive repertoire. Rodica Bujor is yet another legendary voice we can find in Radio Romania's Golden Tape Library. She made her debut with Radio Romania's traditional music orchestra in the mid-1930s. Rodica Bujor still sang at the age of 70, even after she retired. We go out today with one very popular song from Rodica Bujor's repertoire.
Radio Romania International.
Welcome to a new edition of our regular feature Through the Looking Glass. I am Diana Vujeu. At this special time of the year, when Radio Romania celebrates its 85th anniversary on November the 1st, it is time to step not only through a beautiful autumn, but also through the past, accompanied by a lady to whom radio is not only a profession, but a passion. We have mentioned very often the pioneers of the English section, Edith and Max Eisinger, a couple of radio enthusiasts educated in England. They were followed by reputed intellectual and journalist Katinka Ralea, who did a series of exceptional interviews, and later by another truly remarkable voice, Alexandru Fole. And today it is time to listen to the story of Ana Maria Concu, because she is the lady who has always found the time, energy and enthusiasm to produce shows, and she is the colleague and radio teacher, so to say, who left an indelible mark on the activity of the English section of Radio Romania International and on most of its members. I feel privileged today to invite you to listen to a beautiful story, obviously a love story, because what's radio to Ana Maria?
Radio? It has been my life. A lifetime. Right. It is my life because after I retired 4 years ago, I've continued to do this profession I've loved so much as a contributor. I've loved it since I was a fourth-year student, when a poll was conducted and we were asked what career we'd like to embrace. Whereas most of my fellow students went in for teaching, I wanted to become a broadcast journalist, which seemed weird to them because, according to the diploma we got upon graduation, we were all supposed to become teachers. At the time, I was listening to and was fascinated by the interviews and reports aired on Radio Romania or on the Romanian television and produced by the one who was to become my boss, Katinka Ralea, the head of the English service of Radio Bucharest, as Radio Romania International was then called. Fate had it that 1 year after graduation, I heard about a vacancy at the English service, took the exam, and luckily passed it. I owe a great deal to Katinka, as she liked to be called even by the young ones. She was an accomplished journalist, one of the great interviewers this country has ever had. But she was also a person with high moral standards. You couldn't help admiring and respecting. And in turn, she loved us, junior producers, and taught us the basics of our profession. The soundbite, that is instrumental to our broadcasts. Use it whenever and wherever you can. This is radio broadcasting and not the print press, she said. I've abided by that teaching, and over time I've tried to pass it on to my younger colleagues. That's why I grew very fond of interviewing and reporting. It was Katinka's passion for our profession, the enthusiasm and tenacity with which she did it, that contaminated me, and I've taken pains to follow in her footsteps. I used to read her interviews and other stuff she wrote, because everything had to be translated into Romanian and subject to censorship. The managers that we had, particularly in the 80s, the dark period of the communist regime, tried to amputate her interviews. But she had too high a status and was held in great esteem, and they were afraid and failed. That is how I learned some of the secrets of our profession, by reading our colleagues' productions, by stealing, as we used to say, as there was no opportunity for us to take training courses at the time. I remember receiving my first scholarship ever at the BBC English Language Summer School in London in August 1990, when I was already 40, and I knew quite a lot of things about radio broadcasting. On the other hand, Stefania Porcuțanu, who taught me to translate political news and sports news into English, urged us to listen to the BBC or the VOA every day. We junior producers were lucky to have such talented colleagues as Tiberiu Tomciani, Alec Foley, the great BBC-like voice, Ina Karamzulescu, who was my guest in my Sunday studio talk show last Sunday, or Frederica Dochinoiu, and we learned, or rather stole, something from each of them. Katinka Ralea tried to keep very high standards, and you had to be a good translator, have a good voice and a gift for writing to be able to work at the English service. And when our older colleagues retired, those of us who have stayed here, loyal to radio broadcasting, a few actually after 1990, have tried to measure up to the same standards. Don't take up this profession or give it up unless you do it with passion, I would tell possible contenders or younger colleagues. Looking back, I realize I scared some of them just saying, "Are you ready to go to a press conference sometime before noon when you are on the afternoon shift and you are getting lunch ready in the kitchen? Are you ready to go to a theater show on a Saturday evening and do interviews after the show?" But that's how I've worked, taking no notice of my time, of my plans, of my love meetings and family get-togethers. Was it hard? It was, but the outcome of my work was rewarding. By the way, you may wonder whether it was difficult for us to work and do our profession as broadcast journalists, in all honesty, during the communist regime. It was very difficult. Actually, we turned into genuine robots while translating those communist ideology-permeated texts commending the great leader Nicolae Ceausescu. Fear gripped us not to make any mistakes, since we risked being fired and even imprisoned. While producing our own shows, we compromised, since we were not free to voice our opinions, and we had to deal only with certain themes. I, for one, liked the culture programs, because there you were allowed a certain amount of freedom of expression. Maybe that's why I was so happy to work for 6 years at Radio Holidays, Radio Romania's summer station operating on the Black Sea coast. It was considered a pilot experimental station. For me, as a junior producer, it was a real school, since everything was broadcast live. You could experiment all kinds of radio broadcasting formulas you didn't use at the headquarters in Bucharest, and the broadcasts were not indoctrinated like those on Radio Bucharest. Entertainment had pride of place, given that the audience we targeted was made up mostly of tourists, lots of foreign tourists included. I'll never forget a report I did from a motorboat at sea, or a report including a vox pop among British and American tourists in a restaurant in Mamaia or Neptune Resort. I learned what teamwork meant. We were not only colleagues but also friends, and we were so enthusiastic that we often worked late hours for the Sunday show, for instance. I think it was one of the happiest times of my life. What was it like working at Radio Romania International after 1990? The bottom line is that we enjoyed the freedom of expression we had been denied before. The format of our programs has diversified a great deal, as you may have noticed, and our work has become more complicated and difficult. But it has been a challenge. These 23 years we've endeavored to become true, unbiased journalists, taking no sides despite the intricate domestic political developments. And I've been happy to do the Sunday Studio Show, a magazine-type show which has given me the opportunity to include all kinds of radio broadcasting formulas and make best use of my writing skills. But I'll let you be the judge of all that, will you? This is the story of Ana Maria Palcu, the guest of Through the Looking Glass today. Next on Radio Romania International, you are invited to vote. I'm Mihaela Ignatescu at the microphone. In traditional communities, life is cyclic. People used to live by the seasons, arranging their activities and holidays according to them. Autumn is the harvest time all over the country. Harvest and the autumn equinox are the most important landmarks in the Romanian tradition, considering that archaic societies organized their activities according to the solar calendar. It seems that this harvest cult has its roots in the antiquity. The Greek and Roman had special harvest celebrations, and the Thracian celebrated picking the grapes and the making of wine. In medieval times, all Europeans celebrated harvests, involving the entire community. Let us listen now to medievalist Monica Neamțu. The Middle Ages have these holidays which gradually started taking on a Christian garb. Many of them are older, pagan holidays, but they were Christianized and adapted to the beliefs of medieval man.
As opposed to urban celebrations, the rural ones have a deeper local layer and have not undergone too many influences from the West. The oldest celebrations in Romania go back to the Dacians. For instance, after harvest, thanks were given to the gods, but they were purification rituals too, to cleanse the fields of evil. In many cases, a lot of these celebrations have been preserved and modernized in time. Modernity has also seen an influx of Saxon holidays. When the German colonists reached Transylvania, they brought with them urban celebrations typical of medieval burghs, carnivals, harvest celebrations, and celebrations to encourage a fruitful summer. In Romania, autumn traditions have been mainly influenced by the Germans. In areas such as Făgăraș and Brașov, autumn celebrations last from late September to mid-October. In all areas of the country, the days of harvest are a summation of the pride that peasants felt in seeing the fruit of their year-round labor, and at the same time a way of sharing the joy. Nowadays, autumn celebrations are of a more entertaining nature, while also preserving their authenticity. With a large audience, these holidays emphasize traditions and crafts. Transylvania, in particular, has preserved well its autumn traditions. There are special fairs where the music, games, and competitions bring back the flavor of times past. That was Roots.
You are tuned to Bucharest, Radio Romania International. Hello, or should I say bună ziua? Yes, that's right, this is Romanian Without Tears, Radio Romania International's guide to learning Romanian, with me, Cristina Mateescu. This week we're going to look at that linguistic phenomenon known as the false friend. So what is a false friend? Basically, false friends are words or phrases that exist in two different languages or dialects, that though they might look and sound similar, in fact have different or at least partially different meanings in each case. False friends can be a cause of confusion when you're learning a foreign language, especially if that language has links to your mother tongue. And the misunderstandings created when you unwittingly use a false friend can often have comic consequences. Let's look at just a few examples of false friends in Romanian and English. Take the English word actual, which also exists in Romanian, actual. What's the difference? In English, actual is used to mean real or true, while in Romanian, as incidentally in various other European languages, it means current, as in current affairs. Another common false friend is the word magazine, which in English is a periodical publication like The Economist or Private Eye magazine. In Romanian, however, the word magazine means shop. So make sure you take enough money with you next time you say, I'm going to buy un magazin. And another fun example is the Romanian word chef, which in English sounds like chef, someone who cooks for a living, which in Romanian actually means boss. So unless your boss is also a professional good cook, you'd better try not to confuse these two words. Then there's also the Romanian librărie, which looks and sounds similar to the English library. However, a librărie is not somewhere you go to borrow a book. It's actually where you go to buy one. That is, a bookshop. Already feeling nervous? Yes, that's another example of false friend. Nervous in English is when you feel uneasy or apprehensive about something. In Romanian, though, the word nervos means angry. Of course, there's plenty more false friends in Romanian and English that we could mention if we had the time. But at least now you know what I'm talking about if I say my actual chef is nervous because his local library turned into a sports magazine. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Romanian Without Tears. Don't forget you can read some of the examples of false friends we discussed today on our website at www.rri.ro. Until next time, it's goodbye. Or la revedere, as we say in Romanian.
Next in our program, sports on Radio Romania International.
Hello, this is Daniel Bills at the microphone. Tennis player Simona Halep, number 14 seed in the WTA rankings, has recently proved she's still in top shape. At the Tournament of Champions in Sofia, Halep, the event's number one favorite, beat French Alice Cornet in straight sets 6-4, 6-4. This win will take Halep straight into the tournament semi-finals this weekend. This past Tuesday, Simona Halep defeated Anastasia Pavlyuchenkova from Russia in the 50th win on the Romanian's record sheet in 2013. The WTA rankings include only 3 female tennis players with more than 50 wins in the current season. Serena Williams with 78 wins, Agnieszka Radwanska from Poland with 56 wins, and the Czech Petra Kvitova with 51. We move on to news from handball. Romania's men's national team will be playing a friendly game against Slovakia in Bucharest this coming Sunday. This is the last training game ahead of the qualifying matches that might take Romania to the World Championship in 2015. Romania is part of the second European preliminary group alongside Cyprus, Italy and Slovakia. All Romania's games are scheduled in January 2014. On January the 2nd and the 4th, Romania will be taking on Cyprus. The games against Italy are scheduled on January the 8th and the 9th, while on January the 11th and the 12th, Romania will go against Slovakia. We go out with news from football. From Friday and all through to Monday, games will be played counting towards the Domestic League One's 13th leg. On Friday, 8th placed Ceahlăul from Piatra Neamț will be taking on 11th placed Săgeata Vodari. 2 other matches will be played on Saturday. Panduri Târgu Jiu, a competitor in Europa League, are pitched against 12th place FC Vaslui. Romania's representative in the Champions League, Bucharest stronghold Steaua, will travel to Brașov to take on the last but one team in the current rankings, Corona. On Sunday, Concordia Chiajna will be facing CFR Cluj. Astra Giurgiu will be taking on Gazmetan Mediaș, while in the last game of the day, Dinamo from Bucharest will be taking on FC Brașov. The last 3 games in the 13th leg will be played on Monday. Bottom of the table, Universitatea from Cluj will be facing Viitorul from Constanța. Petrolul Ploiești are pitted against Poli Timișoara, while 14th placed Oțelul Galați will be taking on the revelation of the current season, the newly promoted FC Botoșani, 5th placed in the rankings. And with that, our broadcast in English for listeners in Western Europe and Japan has come to an end. You can listen to our next program for Western Europe tomorrow at 6:30 hours UTC on 7345 kHz in analog system and 9600 kHz in the DRM system. Listeners in Japan can listen to our next program tomorrow at 23 hours UTC on 7395 and 9620 kHz. We can also be heard on the internet in WMA, MP3 and AAC Plus formats at www.rri.ro, channel 1, and in Europe via satellite Hotbird 6 on 11623 MHz, vertical polarization, azimuth 13 degrees east. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write an email at engl@rri.ro. Goodbye.